HONRO is back with GMS, and this is the HONRO 50, the company's first smartphone to debut with the return of Google. HONRO is able to get Google back is because HONRO is supposedly independent of Huawei now, supposedly. And so the question now becomes, how is the HONRO 50? Is it actually any good? Let's find out. I think we should just start by talking about the design of the HONRO 50. So the HONRO 50 is technically Huawei's P50 design, and it also has a glossy back which catches fingerprints way too easily, and it also has this weird double camera bump cutout design thing. This HONRO 50 is also very uncomfortable to hold because it's using the same design like the Huawei Mate 40 that we reviewed last year, I think. This same super waterfall screen is just making the phone's frame way too thin, and whenever I try to hold the phone, it tries to bite into the palm of my hand. Plus, pressing the volume and power button on this phone is also extremely dangerous since you're most probably just gonna slide off the button and potentially make the phone fall to the ground. And let's just talk about the screen now. The overall quality of this 6.57-inch OLED screen is fine. It can also go up to 120Hz refresh rate, and overall colors and brightness, I would say it's just fine. However, there's one thing I want to point out is that the selfie camera cutout is way too big. You see this? It immediately reminds me of the Redmi 10, which we have reviewed recently, which also has this humongous selfie cutout camera. And also, the pre-installed screen protector is slightly misaligned. That aside though, let's move on to the performance side of things, because the HONRO 50 is equipped with the Snapdragon 778G chipset. Yes, this is a very powerful chipset, and we play games like Genshin Impact at the highest graphical settings, and we can probably get about 40-ish, 50 FPS. There are definitely some frame drops and stuttering along the way, but overall it's still a very enjoyable experience. And I think it is also here that I found out that the HONRO 50 is actually using a mono speaker. In the year of 2021, this shouldn't happen. But what about the software side of things? It's still running Magic UI, which debuted a few years ago, and it's basically just a renamed version of Huawei's EMUI. And after all these years, it is exactly like how I remembered it from like 2 years ago. All the issues are still here, and let me just show you as a reminder of what I have complained a few years ago, the camera UI. Now, you see the camera UI is just not user-friendly. Over the years, we have a lot of camera modes that keep adding into the camera mode on top of just the standard photo and video mode. We now have something like portrait mode, night mode, pro photography, and even pro video mode in some phones. And since not everyone is going to use all of these features, we have brands like Samsung, Oppo, and even Xiaomi letting us configure where to place all of these modes in the bottom bar so we can easily access all of the modes that we usually use. But for the HONRO 50, screw you, you cannot configure them. And then there's another thing that I want to point out is the zoom slider position. Every other phone that I've used places the zoom slider right above all of the mode sliders, so you can access both the camera modes, the shutter button, and even the zoom slider with just one hand. And if you are a left-handed user or right-handed user, this whole part of the camera UI just rotates along with how you use your phone. But again, for the HONRO 50 though, they place it at the bottom of the frame, which makes one-handed operation impossible. So you will definitely need two hands to operate the camera properly. And these are just two issues that we've complained like 2 years ago, and yet it's still here. Now, enough about the camera UI. What about the cameras themselves? We have a total of 4 different cameras on the HONRO 50, and technically only 2 cameras are usable to take pictures. For the main camera, I'd say it's pretty decent overall. I took some pictures during this sunset and it looks fine. The exposure is correct and the level of details is still okay. Moving to indoor shots, I'm not too sure what happened to this shot in particular, but it got duplicated, but the duplicated version got slightly warped in terms of geometry, and you can see it in the reflected walls and table. But in broad daylight, the dynamic range is sometimes very inconsistent. Sometimes it's overexposed and sometimes it's underexposed. For the ultra-wide angle camera, I would say it's pretty fine overall. It does have some serious chromatic aberration at the corners of the shots, but overall, I would still say it's decent. And the last and technically still usable camera is the macro camera. This is a 2 megapixel fixed focus lens camera, which I would say is just an excuse to increase the camera count. I would prefer a 2x telephoto zoom than this macro camera. And for the video side of things, the lack of OIS means that all videos coming out of the HONRO 50 is pretty unwatchable. It just warps and everything just keeps jumping around, which makes it very nauseous to watch. I did a test during the aforementioned sunset and then again during daylight, and both of them have the exact same issue. And thinking back, the last time we experienced this extreme warping was with the HONOR 20 Pro. That phone was 2 years ago. For the battery side of things, this phone does come with a 4300 mAh battery, which can last throughout the day, no doubt, if no intense gaming is involved. So I don't think that's gonna be an issue for anyone. But for the charging side of things, HONOR did include a 66 watt charger inside the box, which takes about 40 minutes to charge from 15 to 100%. And since this phone is using proprietary fast charging standards, our Ugreen charger cannot fast charge this phone at all. So for the price, we have two tiers for the HONOR 50. It starts from $1,699 for 6 gigs of RAM plus 128 gigs of storage. And I'll say that's actually quite expensive. At this price, you're better off getting the Xiaomi 11T that was released recently, and it comes with a MediaTek Dimensity 1200, and at least Xiaomi promised 3 full OS updates with 4 years of security patches. One advantage that the HONOR 50 has is that Magic UI doesn't have any system ads, whereas the Xiaomi 11T's MIUI is riddled with ads. But if you want to get the higher end variant with 8 gigs of RAM plus 256 gigs of storage for the HONOR 50, it is priced at 1,999 ringgit, which I'd say is just very hefty, and you're better off getting the Samsung Galaxy A52s. With the Samsung Galaxy A52s, you get a better user experience with Samsung's One UI, plus monthly updates with 3 generations of Android updates with 4 years of security patches, IP67, a camera with proper OIS, a microSD card slot for those who want to expand beyond 256 gigs of internal storage, stereo speakers, and even a headphone jack. So I just don't know how HONOR is going to sell this HONOR 50 at such a price. And with that said, I really do want to see HONOR do better in their next product, and also in terms of pricing. Yeah, they need to improve product pricing, and just this design is not gonna, yeah, no, please don't do this. So that's all we have to share with you about the HONOR 50. Do let us know what you think, and what phone would you get for the price of 1,699 and 1,999. And we'll see you guys in the next video.